beautiful place, but for the time being, it seems to be unknown to the Deadwalker army. This village has known better days. Before the war, it was popular among the rich hunters who came to enjoy the ample game in the swamps. Today, the only visitors are refugees, who are sadly too numerous for the scant resources of the village. A small healing house provides comfort and succor to the injured. The knight is quite fond of Mirana, the healer who runs the place. Does the mercenary see the building opposite? It was once an inn, but it is now the residence of the steward, the man now in charge of the village.
The inn was used as a hunting lodge before the war began. Many rich people used to come here to relax.
With any luck, we might get to sleep in a real bed tonight. How come you talk that way? Always in the third person.
The way people speak is different from one place to another. And I am from another place. The Knight's people are a warrior tribe from Algendar. And he is proud of them.
Where can I find the steward?
As the knight said, the steward is in the old inn, the big building in the middle of the village.
What does the steward want with me?
The captain has offered the services of the freeborn blades to the steward. The steward must have orders for the mercenary.
Shit. I'm gonna get stuck being this guy's errand girl. Fuck. I knew I should have come with the rest of the company. What can you tell me about this backwater town?
This village is a modest one, and its reserves are almost gone. Its only strength is its isolation in these swamps, but that is also its greatest weakness.
I already figured it was some kind of shithole.
That the refugees and the villagers must live together is difficult, and the situation is worsened by there not being enough food. The swamp offers protection against the Deadwalkers, but it also harbors many dangers. Its creatures often attack the village. When the knight and the elf are not there to defend the walls, the watch often leave them unguarded. Shameless.
I'm going.
It's on account of that Nigella, ain't it? I take one look at her, and suddenly it's the end of the world.
You okay? Relmar, you got a minute?
Yes?
I have a few questions I need to ask you. Elves are pretty rare. I haven't had the chance to talk to many. Can you tell me more about your people?
We are born in the trees, eat only seeds, and we spend all the livelong day singing.
I get the feeling you're fucking with me.
Perish the thought. Well, it's just that we aren't that different from you humans, despite what one hears. Our civilization is obviously a bit older, so we have had the time to learn from our mistakes. We don't really live in the same rhythm as you do. We move a little slower, and most of us are prone to having at least some respect for the past. This is the reason why we never destroy anything, that we prefer to build on top of things.
I've heard that you're immortal?
That joke has lived for 15 generations. I will never get tired of it. No, we're not immortal. We live long lives, though, much longer than you. We are resistant to poisons, rotten food, and toxic body odor, apparently. Unfortunately, these things do not make us immortal.
Don't elves ever make war?
That's an impression we like to give other people. The fact is, we do go to war, just never against each other. You must understand that, given our long lifetimes, battles are fairly futile. This may well be what has motivated the choices of our king concerning the Ice Lords. But we certainly know how to fight, and you'll see proof of that soon enough.
So it's the prince who gives the orders?
The word orders may not be the best one. We do not submit nor obey easily. Our kings are a reference, wise men who can point out the way. They tend to guide us rather than give us orders. But to answer your question, it is his father, the king, who is the leader of our people.
You seem different from the other elves I've met. Where are you from?
Really, I seem different. And yet I have such pointy ears. And if you really want to know, I actually come from one of the most ancient and noble houses that exists. I'm even linked to the royal family. But I can assure you that I am sufficiently far down the line of succession to be in no danger of being crowned. And my reputation is no help either.
Hey, as far as bad reputations go, every mercenary's got one, so we're used to it.
Let's just say that I got into enough trouble to eventually be considered a traitor to my people. When I got involved in the war, I disagreed with decisions made by the king. He thought that this war, like so many others, would not last. That the conquests won by the Ice Lords would melt away like all the human victories before them had. But I thought differently. Right from the start of hostilities, I began to requisition certain resources I felt necessary for those doing the fighting. More food, more weapons, better armor. When my people discovered what I'd done, I was declared an outlaw, and many saw me as a thief. Which, in a manner of speaking, I guess I was.
You refused to obey the orders of your king and you stole resources. No wonder they outlawed your ass.
Nonetheless, I was right. The Deadwalker army is a threat to us all, and not only the humans. If we had entered the war at the start, joining with the humans, we would have had a chance of defeating them. Today we might already be too late. The human armies were decimated and Virtue is in ruins. So perhaps they consider me a traitor, but my conscience is clear. It is my people who should be ashamed.
Do you know these swamps?
I've been in this area long enough to have explored a fair amount of it, actually. The region is rather inhospitable, which I suppose is a good thing under the present circumstances.
A good thing? You're out of your mind.
These swamps are a labyrinth. The Deadwalker scouts will never be autonomous enough to find their way to the village by themselves.
That means we should be fairly safe for the moment. At least until a general or an Ice Lord comes to town.
Except that recently, there has been a change in these swamplands. And I must admit that I no longer feel safe at all.
What do you mean?
Something is affecting the swamplands, corrupting the vegetation and the animals. And I have no idea what it is. But anything that grows or lives here could become a threat. So I strongly recommend that you watch where you put your feet.
Let's change the subject. Let's move on.
You could at least answer when I ask you a question.